WTF Dinosaurs.
Welcome, guys, once again to the channel Ranking with Dinosaurs, where we ranked, you guessed it, dinosaurs. And today I have a little bit of a weird, if I say so myself, little video for you today. So we're gonna be ranking the most WTF or what the flip dinosaurs. And no, I'm not talking about your Dinosaurs or your Therizinosaurus or your Alvarezsaurids, your Microraptor. I'm not talking about these guys. I think they are pretty weird on themselves. However, between you and me, we have seen them. Some of them are even our favorite dinosaurs. They have they have figures made of them, even. Now I'm talking about truly bizarre dinosaurs that we found. Some of them you might have heard of. Some of them you might not have heard of before. So we're gonna do a little exercise, and you're gonna let me know in the comments if there was a dinosaur, even a single dinosaur that you did not hear of in this video. And yes, and by the end, you're gonna tell me which one is your favorite, and if you have any more weird dinosaurs that I did not talk about in this tier list specifically, send them my way. So maybe I'll make another video. Without further ado, no more stalling. I'm gonna be starting with CHILESAURUS. Now I'm gonna start here with a little bit of a softball, since I think you probably might have heard of Chilesaurus. This is an herbivorous dinosaur with an uncertain classification, since many researchers believe it to be a theropod, a majority of researchers, but it's a small minority, which, suggests that it still had some ornithischian origins. It is found in rocks dating to late Jurassic. This is in Chile, hence the name Chilesaurus. Those gears were turning for that name, but no shade whatsoever. The holotype, being relatively complete, is actually estimated at 5.2 feet or 1.6 meters, and is actually one of 4 individuals known, with the largest one, which is estimated to be an adult or close to adulthood, is almost like double the size of the other one, at 10.5 feet or 3.2 meters. And it is very weird. This guy had a long neck ending in a small head. Kind of reminds me of a Noasaur. But for a theropod, it had a spatula shaped, elongated, protruding forward teeth. Very strange for a theropod, and had hind limbs, which as a bipedal animal, you would think it was very fast, but they were actually not well adapted for running at all. Still, in its arms, it had a large claw that on the first finger of its hand, which probably served as some type of defense, if it probably had any. So Chilesaurus, I think it's a classic in weird ass dinosaurs, and I really like it. But I think it's gonna be a benchmark. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Maybe I'll move it later. UBIRAJARA, the Lord of the Spear, which I have to say is one of the sickest names for a dinosaur. The Lord of the Spear. But yeah, UBIRAJARA, it is an informal genus of compsognathed dinosaur. Now we'll talk about later why it's informal. But this guy was alive during the early Cretaceous of Brazil. Gotta love my South American dinosaurs. And this guy is described as the first Gondwanan theropod dinosaur with preserved integumentary structures. Now, all these structures include protofeathers all around the body, which I'm not a big fan of calling it protofeathers. Just call it feathers. Come on. They're more primitive, or they're have different structure to it, but they still serve the same function, and they're almost the same. Which were most likely used for display, and it also had a sort of a lot of filaments that were densely packed towards the base of the neck, so it kind of formed like a mane. It was compsognathed with not only feathers, which like confirmed feathers, but also a mane. And one of the coolest things is that it had a pair of elongated, ribbon-like structures emerging from its shoulders. Yes, the most random place for you to have, ribbons coming out of you. But, pretty awesome. Now, this guy is informally named, so thus currently unnamed dinosaur, since this is the classic case of, scientific colonialism, which is a term that I did not know existed, but I didn't know what it refers to, and it is that when, a very advanced country with advanced researchers go to a, developing country, of less resources, grab some of the fossils or, the material, take it back, they do the research, and they name it without, any sort of actual accountability for it. Which, we do not support that here. Or you shouldn't support that anywhere. And, the actual specimen was brought back, sent back to Brazil. So currently it is unnamed, and, the name UBIRAJARA is not actually official. But for the sake of the video, I'll call it UBIRAJARA. I really like UBIRAJARA. I'm going to put an 8 here. I love it. It's such a cool compsognathid with actual, cool backs. It's a sad backstory because, you shouldn't do that. But the actual specimen itself is awesome. So I'm going to put it in 8 here. PEGOMASTAX. Now, this one you probably heard of before, yes. Is an heterodontosaurid from early Jurassic in South Africa. Pretty awesome. Gotta love our African dinosaurs. We don't get a lot of them. But, this guy was discovered back in 1966, but was not actually described until 2012. It's, whole ass almost 60 years. But yes, the material for PEGOMASTAX include a lower jaw and teeth, which, supported a keratinous bill. And the wear that was found on the teeth of this guy actually supports the idea that this was a herbivorous dinosaur, but not only herbivorous, but it ate a lot of tougher plants, like, tougher plant material. And this was due to the presence of, large canine teeth. The canine tooths that were found, the canine tooth that was found in the actual fossil. And this was at the front and the tip of the snout. This guy was actually much smaller than Heterodontosaurus, with a skull length of 2.9 inches or 73 millimeters. The face of this guy is one that only a mother could love. It is absolutely hideous. But no, we're not gonna dunk on PEGOMASTAX for that. The actual name as well is kind of putting me off. But the actual formation that this guy has been found is actually known as the Mesospondylus assemblage zone, which is an area where a ton of these sauropodomorph fossils have been found. So PEGOMASTAX probably served a different niche as a different type of herbivore, eating different kinds of the tougher plants. So PEGOMASTAX, I actually kind of hate it. I'm gonna put it in C tier. JAKAPIL. Now we're gonna be moving on with the shield bearer again. The small dinosaurs getting some of the coolest names. The shield bearer, which actually goes very well with the other one, the Lord of the Spears. Got a theme going on here with weapons. But this guy is a basal theraphoran from the Candelaris Formation, which, if you recall, it is from Argentina. Again, we gotta love our South American dinosaurs. And it actually presents various novel features in Theraphorands. Again, Theraphorands, the group of Stegosaurus and Ankylosaurs. And these novel features that it presents are the presence of predentary bone, a predentary bone. I cannot speak today, and a large and low osteoderms actually throughout the body, with a bipedal stance, which it's not necessarily weird for basal Theraphorands, but it is very similar to Scutellosaurus. So if you know Scutellosaurus, they got a similar vibe going. JAKAPIL being a cutie patooey. It is absolutely adorable. It is very small, with an estimated size said to be around 5 feet, 1.6 meters, and it only weighed 15 pounds or 7 kilograms. Absolutely adorable. It had a little boxy head too, and really, really small arms, I have to say. Um, Due to the teeth wear that had been found in the fossils of Jacapil, it most likely was a chewer. So yeah, it used mastication as a way to, process all the plant material that it was eating. And yes, as it lived in the Candidatus Formation, it did coexist with Giganotosaurus, the Chat Carcharodontosaurus, which means Jacapil gets extra points. But Jacapil, it is gonna get extra points since it's gonna be S tier. I love Jacapil. Yi Qi, or just Yi. This guy hails from the late Jurassic in China. This is a Scansoriopterygiid. I think I said that right, first try. And is known from a single adult individual specimen. And it is a small, possibly tree-dwelling dinosaur. Yes, guys, arboreal dinosaurs had under the chat. And it possessed a, very Scansoriopterygiid characteristic, which is an unusual third finger, which is, very elongated. And this finger, what it did is that it supported a membranous gliding plane, and that it was made of skin. And I know I said, this particular dinosaurs don't get a lot of representation in figure form. However, I do have a Yi Qi figure. It is pretty awesome. And you can see the membranes right here on the third finger specifically. Again, it had the integument, the little feathers, little fuzzy little guy, and this particular membranes actually are unique among dinosaurs, and yes, they look very similar in appearance to bat wings. Another thing is that this guy was probably an insectivorous in diet. Had a really small head, and caught him with its very small teeth that were only at the tip of the jaw, and it had these 4 ribbon-like feathers on its tail, which it probably used again for a display and courtship among its peers. So Yi Qi, I have to say, when I first heard about it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And throughout the years, again, I think not that I liked it less, is that I like other dinosaurs more. But Yi Qi is still up there. I mean, I'm gonna put it in A tier. How could I not? LIAONINGOSAURUS. So we're gonna be leaving the weirdest for last. Yes, guys. This is one of those dinosaurs that I discovered making this video. So LIAONINGOSAURUS is a unusual genus of a basal ankylosaurid. So yes, basal ankylosaurid from China. This was during, again, the early Cretaceous. Now, this was in the Yixian and Jiufotan formation. I think you've heard me talk about those. And it's actually known for more than 20 specimens. And you might be thinking, what is so unusual about this basal ankylosaurid? Well, it is unusual among ornithischian dinosaurs in general, in that it's speculated to have either hunted or scavenged, which that's a heavy statement right there for an ornithischian dinosaur or ankylosaurid in general. This is because we have found gut contents preserving eaten fish. Yes, eaten fish inside the stomach of an ankylosaurid. That is insane. Additionally, if you want to go even more crazy, there is a reason why there is fish inside this particular ankylosaurid. And it is that some features of this particular animal suggest that it did live a partially aquatic lifestyle. So a semi-aquatic fish-eating ankylosaurid. What the heck? This guy was, doing its own thing. Now you might be thinking, oh, this is a big-ass ankylosaurid. No. Bear with me. It was a 1.5 foot or 45 centimeter animal. And it present which was thought to be previously a ventral bony plate on its stomach, which, could have protecting it from attacks from underwater. But, it has been reinterpreted today as, skin impressions. And this, our little friend here, LIAONINGOSAURUS, it suggested that it filled the niche of modern-day turtles. Yes, a turtle ankylosaur that was in the water hunting for fish. Absolute cinema from nature. LIAONINGOSAURUS, you're going to go straight into S tier. I'm sorry. And that is going to be the What the Fuck Dinosaurs. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments if there was a dinosaur here you hadn't heard before. And let me know which one is your favorite from this video. And let me know which dinosaurs or weird ass dinosaurs I forgot to mention in the video. And if you want a second part. Again, guys, really grateful for the kind words and the support that you guys have given me throughout all these months. I'm gonna keep making videos. I'm sorry if I missed a couple days of couple uploads and like a couple weeks ago, but you know, it's just stuff with life, and I think that's, you know, part of the course for the channel. But you know, I'm trying to do my best to, you know, get you guys all the videos on time. Maybe not specifically on time, but at least on the day of. So, how can you support the channel, guys? Please like the video. Helps a lot. Subscribe. It helps even more. And I will see you guys in the next video.